my gosh. We're here on Shabbos. Parshas HaChodesh is going to start in a few minutes. Vayakal Pekudei. It's just unbelievable how the juxtaposition of Shabbos in the Parsha is the focal beginning, and it's Vayakal. Everybody's got to be together. And everybody recognizes surely how, at least here in Eretz Yisrael, that the entire government and public transportation is shutting down for Shabbos. They don't even do this on Yom Kippur. So this is something that's next level. And that there's a different madregas of a person keeping Shabbos and people breaking Shabbos. If a person, Chas v'Shalom, breaks Shabbos, but he does it in private, he shows that he still has a little bit of busha. He's still embarrassed, and he doesn't want to contradict and do something wrong in public. So that shows he still has that feinkeit, and therefore that person still hasn't gotten the title of an Ovid of Avodah Zarah. And therefore if that type of person touches your wine that's not mavushal, I'm not a posek, but just it's probably not as problematic. But this whole country, there's not going to be public transportation. That means in Farhesia, the country is by default taking Shabbos. And of course we know the corona represents like a crown, and the crown, if we recognize it's all from Hashem, so then we're really recognizing it's Hashem that's doing it for us. Somebody was telling me that, if you put this, you keep in isolation and you do everything because it's a mitzvah to protect yourself, because that's what the doctors and the Rabbanim say, it's a mitzvah to listen to the doctors and the Rabbanim. And so you do it as a mitzvah, so your whole time in isolation is a mitzvah. Right now, I'm in a mitzvah. But if a person does it because begrudgingly, oh gosh, I can't go out, I want to go out, and I don't want to get a ticket, I don't want to be put in jail, so then I'm doing it as an escape, and then there's not a mitzvah, and then there's negativity in there. Reminds me of the famous Maisa with I don't remember if it was the Rebbe of Melech's brother, Rav Zisha Manipoli. I think that, I'm not sure if it was him, but they were put in prison, and they had this had a big problem, because in the prison, in the cell where these Yidden were put, there was a big bucket for refuse, and it was not clean. And they were all upset, oh my gosh, what can we do? We can't daven, we can't think Torah, it's terrible. And one of them says, it's a halacha, it's a mitzvah, they keep the halacha of not to think Torah and not to daven in a place like this. So we're being mekayim the mitzvah to do this right. And they started singing and dancing. They were so joyous that they were able to do that mitzvah. And when the jailer saw them dancing around the bucket, so the jailer came in and took the bucket out. You can't do this. I'm not going to let you have this. And of course, this way they were able to daven. Again, I'm not so sure which was greater, being able to daven in the clean room or being able to find simcha when it wasn't clean. It could be that I'm not sure. But we have to understand there's a choice. When we go into isolation, when we are not able to go out to daven, it creates this like distance that there's like when you pull away a magnet from each other, you feel how hard it is, and it wants to connect, right? But if you pull it apart and there's nothing going on there, there's no desire to connect, there's nothing. So we know that this being Parshas HaChodesh is, according to the tzaddikim, that each one of the four parshas that we had, we started out with the Shkolim, and we had Zachar, and then we had Para, and now this week we have a Chodesh. So those four parshas correspond to the four letters of Hashem's name: Yud for Shkolim, Hey for Zachar, Vav for Para, and this week is for a Chodesh, which is the final Hey of Hashem's name. Now, Rav Gamliel said for the Yidden living in Eretz Yisrael that he suggests, based on what the Magid Misharim, Rav Yosef Karo, and his sefer that he wrote from the teachings he got from a Malach. Okay, so this is And he's our posek halacha, the years of Karo. But he had a connection with a malach, and he taught certain things in Torah. And one of the things he said in Parshas Emor is when there's a Val Kol Tzara Shelo Tavo, on any tragic situation that heaven forbid should befall the Jewish people, it's ideal to send hopefully a minion of people to go with the Arba Minim to the Kever Roshim Bar Yochai and his son Rabbi Lazar. And if it's possible to do it with Tainus, and Rabbi Gamliel said, even without a Tainus, it's a huge thing, and take the Arba Minim and do 7 Hakafas, say V'hi Noam Anu Ekoyach each time, and have in mind to be Mevatel L'Gzeira. So that's a fascinating thing. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to travel up to Meron and see if we could do it, but we're going to try to make efforts to do it. But either which way, Arba Minim. Why Arba Minim? Because Arba Minim also represent the 4 letters of Hashem's name. The eyes are the Yud, the Hadassim, right? The Shidra, the lips, and the each of the 4 Minim. I think I went out of order, but they say the Esrog is the final Hay. The Esrog is the final Hay, and if you look at it, we make the bracha al netilas lulav. Picking up the lulav. Why don't we say esrog? Esrog is the heart. It's the final hay. It's what completes it all. And I think it is because maybe one way we can look at it is that lulav is hopefully supposed to lift itself. You lift up the lulav, and hopefully your heart will desire to reconnect with the lulav. And there's a very famous sefer called the Rikanati, and it's the Levush. Actually brings down one of the volumes of the Levush is basically the Rikanati. And he brings over there a Maisa about how he had a dream. And in his dream, he saw there was a terrible thing, something terrible wrong, that the Hay from Hashem's name was separated from the first 3 letters of Hashem's name, the Yud Kei Vav. And the final Hay was not connected. And it was terrible, it was clear that was a tragedy. And what needed to be done is he realized that when he was doing the shaking the lulav and esrog, that the lulav and esrog were not together. They were separate. They were going like this. And because they were going like this, then the first 3 letters of Hashem's name with the esrog was not being connected. And he made this big tikkun that in the morning everybody should make sure that everything's connected. So here we are. We're in Shabbos HaChodesh. According to Tzaddikim, it's the final Hay of Hashem's name. It's like the Esrog. The Esrog, of course, the final Hay of Hashem's name represents Malchus. So the question is, how much do we want to be connected? So being that everybody's basically homeward bound, everybody's at home, we have this opportunity to focus on our family. Focus on our home being our kingdom and being connected in the best way possible to each and every one of our family members. And this is probably something that could be ma'orer, that the Shechina is like that final hay. It's almost as if we want, we were separated, like we're pried out of our shuls. There was a shul that was open in Yerushalayim, and 70 people they had a whole bunch of police that were swarming with police, and they caught everybody, and they gave 70 tickets out for 2,000 shekels each, and wow, they're mamish being pulled out of shul. I hope that they're worried more about not being able to daven in shul than the fine. Lo Aleinu, we don't want to have fines. I don't want to get tested with fines, but to be pulled out of shul. It's almost like Hashem is like on Sukkot, when you sit in the sukkah and it rains. It's like Hashem saying, "Who needs you?" So the question is, we know there's a general rule: Kol masha omer lecha bala bayis aseh chutz mitzeh. Anything that the bala bayis tells you to do, you're supposed to do, except when the bala bayis tells you to leave. I'm not paskening about if you're sitting in in the rain in Sukkot, and do you leave? When do you have to leave? Don't you not have to leave? When you shouldn't leave? Just conceptually speaking, where it's as if that's happening to us. Hashem is kicking us out. The question is, does it hurt us? Do we cry? Do we say, Hashem, I don't want to be separated. I don't want our Beis HaMikdash, our Batei Medrash and our shuls to be off bounds for us. We want to be able to be connected. We want those first 3 Shabbosim where we had of Shekalim, Zachar, and Para to lead us and to connect with Parshas HaChodesh. That the first 3 letters of Hashem's name should be connected with the final Hey of Hashem's name. And that maybe this is part of what the school of the Rav Gamliel was talking about, that from the Baal Beis Yosef, the Magid Mesharim, that to take the Arba Minim Dafka and go to the Kever of Shim Bar Yochai and do Hakafas and say, we don't want to be pushed away. And we take the Minim together and we go around a place of Makam Tefillah where Tzadikim are. And this is hopefully something that we'll be able to perform and be able to do, and hopefully we'll be able to see Yeshua's for all of Klal Yisrael and hopefully the whole world. But you know what? Some people say as soon as this is over, we're going to get back to business as usual. I sure hope not. I hope that we've grown and gained and done something different. I even heard some goy saying something amazing. He said, you know what? I'm not so sure if the market's going to go right back up like everybody hopes, because maybe people are going to be rethinking, what do we need to enjoy life? Do we need to go to the theater? Do we need to travel to the Bahamas? Do we need to do this, that, and the other in order to enjoy life? Hashem should help us all think about what real life is. And for sure, learning Torah is tantamount. Kihem chayenu v'orech yameinu, and hopefully Hashem will grant us that through the kedusha of this Shabbos and through the message of Shabbos at the beginning of the parsha and the rest of the parsha talking about building the Beis HaMikdash, building the Mishkan, we'll be zocha to make ourselves bilvavi Mishkan Evne. I will purge from myself and I will realize and dedicate each aspect of all the talents that I have and all the uniqueness that each and every one of us has to see what could I do for Hashem, to be a dwelling place for Hashem. That I should be somebody walking outside and I always feel Hashem's with me. You meet people like that on the street and you see that, wow, these people are special. You see, it's as if they're living with Hashem in their lives, and they are. And that's what each and every one of us could do and should do. And that's why the parsha was that Hashem says, Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti besocham, from a few weeks ago, make a mikdash and I will dwell in them, in each and every one of us. Hashem wants to dwell in each and every one of us, even if we're not in shul. Even if we're alone and we don't have a minyan, we can't say Yehi Shmei Rabbah, we can't say Baruch Hu, we're stuck. But we're not stuck, as Hashem is with us everywhere. Imo anachi b'tzara. And you know what, like the parable of the bucket, you can even find Hashem where there's a problem. All you have to do is have the proper attitude and perspective. Hashem should help us gain that attitude and perspective and live with it and make that our lives, that hopefully that already Motzei Shabbos will be greeting Eliyahu, hopefully today. It's still not too late. Maybe Mashiach will still come now. How it works on a Friday, we don't know. It could even happen on Shabbos. Right? We say B'chol Yom She'avo. We don't know how it will work. But it could be that Hashem will be just so enthralled with everybody trying to realize for themselves, what is it that I could do to be a dwelling place for Hashem? Then maybe Hashem will welcome us back into His big dwelling place with the binyan Beis HaMikdash b'mheira b'yameinu. Amen. Have an amazing, amazing Shabbos. Zay Geben.